What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Live with Wolfman. I'm your host, Jacob Wolfman, and this is a show about all the things that I'm interested in and all the things that you're interested in. We're talking about martial arts on this show, forms, tricking, point fighting. Sometimes we're talking about media stuff, photography stuff. Yesterday we did a whole power hour of social media advice, and today we have a super awesome, amazing guest. I'm stoked to finally get her on the show. We've been working for a couple weeks to try to book this date, and we got some time in between her busy schedule. Like I said, she's got more world championship wins than I could possibly count, and I don't think she could even count them unless she really sat down and thought about her entire life, because she seems to be winning a new world title pretty much every other weekend of her life. She's an amazing athlete. She is a super role model of a human being. I can't say enough good things about this human being. Let's stop looking at my face. Let's just look at the guest's face. Let's give it up. Give me all the hearts, all the floating thumbs ups, all the things that you've got for me. And before I get her on the show, I just realized I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the suspense. I realized that she's muted. Let me unmute her. Okay. Now, give me all the energy you got for Sammy Smith. Yes! Woo! You are live.
Wow, that was a lot of compliments. Thank you.
How you feeling
I
today?
like how I was muted at first.
Yeah. I sometimes struggle on the show. I got some audio issues. I gotta fire my audio engineer. He's kind of slacking in the back here. So, what's up? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm really, like you said, I'm super busy with school. Junior year at Hofstra, exercise science. So I got a lot of work. I feel like I'm just drowning in work. So between that and training and teaching, I got a lot. Oh, and working as a PT aide, I got a lot on my plate.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your college degree, exercise. What was it?
Exercise science. So basically, it's like a stepping stone. It's a major, so you get a bachelor's with that. But you can go to PT school or like med school. Pretty much, you can use that degree and go anywhere with it. But I'm thinking about going to PT school after I graduate and getting a strength and conditioning certification. So the CSCS, which is like the top certification, strength and conditioning certification that you could have. And that would be really cool if I wanted to become a coach, to train like even my students. That'd be awesome. Maybe even own my own facility, like a training gym.
Yeah.
That's actually my goal to, if I'm not going to do the PT and I'm going to do the strength and conditioning and open up like my own gym with a spring floor. So that'd be awesome.
Cool. You mean a martial arts gym, I assume, or
Oh yeah, like a
martial
training
arts?
gym with martial arts, and of course can't leave that behind.
Maybe like an East Coast Jam / fitness center.
Yeah, kind of like that,
That
like a
would
mech.
that would be amazing. That'd be super cool. Um, cool. And so you're a junior. You got what, like a year and a half left
um, like yeah, a little over maybe a year and a half. I have to
until.
take like 17 credits or 118, so that's gonna be a lot. So I might actually have to stay an extra semester, but that's all right.
Well, I gotta say, as someone that's taken college before, don't be in a rush. It's like once it's over, and you never get to live that cool part of your life again. So if you gotta do an extra semester, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. But then after that, you got like grad school and stuff, right? So you're not done with school for a long time.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
PT school's like 3 years, so that's 3 years extra.
Yeah. Okay, that's madness. Well, you are never afraid to take on a challenge. I'll say that. So Sammy Smith, I have the Sammy Smith with me today. Sammy, I've known you for a long time through Hyper, and it's been awesome seeing you grow into the person that you are at this point, and you have accomplished so much in the sport. I don't even know where to begin. Before the show, I asked you, I was like, "How many world titles have you had?" And your response was something like, like I don't even count anymore, right?
Yeah.
Um, where when let's I want to get a little history lesson, a Sammy Smith history lesson. And during our conversation, I know you sent me some links to some videos that we can play. If there's any videos that you want to bring up, I can play them while we talk. But where does the story? Where should we start the story?
Start the
What's a
story.
very memorable? Let's start. You know what? Let's backtrack. Day one. How did you even join karate in the first place, or martial arts, or whatever style?
This is actually a pretty interesting story. So apparently, I was watching TV and I was 3 years old, and a Gap commercial came on, and a little boy was doing karate. He was doing something what we would call sport martial arts or extreme martial arts today. I'm assuming he was throwing a bunch of tornado kicks, and those basic kicks back then. But I was so intrigued by that. I said to my mom, "Oh, I want to start karate." I was just glued to the TV. I couldn't get my eyes off it. Every time that commercial came on, I just couldn't keep my eyes off that TV. So I finally begged my mom to sign me up for karate, and I was only 3 at the time. So we found a karate studio in Plainview, Bustos Martial Arts, and you had to be 4 to sign up. So I was really disappointed. So I had to wait an entire year to start karate. But just like
Poor
everything else,
3-year-old.
I was very persistent from very like day one that I wanted to
Right.
do karate. So I signed up for karate, and basically I was hooked. I went to like every single class I could go to from the very beginning. Like pretty much every class I could go to, I was there. And if I missed a day of karate, I would cry. I'd be so upset. And actually, the funny thing is that that little boy that I saw on the Gap commercial, he was actually James Solis,
Oh,
and
okay.
we were teammates on Pro Rank, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, that's how I got started in karate.
That's just how it works, I guess. You see somebody on TV, and one day they're on your team. So that's interesting. So it sounds like you pretty much were born with this like drive to, or just a drive in general. Like you know what you want, and you just like to go after it, and that you're just born with that natural tendency. Um, is that accurate? Or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, if I'm set on something, like a goal, I'm gonna go for it. I would feel really bad if I don't accomplish one of my goals. So I just have it in me that if I say I'm gonna do something, then I'm gonna do it.
sure. And so then you start taking karate starting age 4, constantly all the time. You're obsessed with it. It's your favorite thing. And then at what point did you start doing the competition thing?
So at my karate school, which where I was going to at the time, they had a competition team, and you had to be a certain belt. I want to say maybe a green belt to join the team.
Mm-hmm.
Except I guess I was the exception because I was an orange belt. So that was only like the third belt in the system,
Yeah.
and I was invited into the competition team. And actually, that's when I met these two brothers. They actually made their own chucks, and that's actually kind of like how I got into chucks. I saw them doing chucks. I didn't even know Matt at the time. This was way before I, met Matt,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess they were pretty good. I don't really remember, but all I know is that they made their own chucks, and you weren't allowed to do weapons at the time either if you were only like that low of a belt. But I guess I was super annoying to the karate instructor and just begged him, just like I am with everything. And he finally just gave in and let me use the chucks. And from there, just like I said with karate, I was hooked.
Cool. So so right around green or orange belt, that's when you started competing as well.
That's when I got into the competition team, like the local circuit. So I competed at local tournaments in New York.
Yep.
And then there was this girl at the karate studio, and she just had came back from the U.S. Open 2003, where she saw Taylor, and she brought back the DVD for me with Taylor Lautner on it. And of course,
Oh
I
my
was like
gosh.
curling over Taylor at that time when he like had his blue spiky hair and took off his uniform and
Woo.
doing all those tricks. So actually, Taylor kind of got me wanting to do all the extreme martial arts. So that was cool.
Was that at your school? Did your school encourage extreme martial arts at the time?
No one really knew of it. It was
Yeah.
just a basic, they knew how to do some tricks because there was a boy there that I guess knew a little bit of tricking, but not to that extreme. Then I wanted to go to the 2004 U.S. Open, and I was 7 at the time. And then ever since then, I've just been competing on NASCAR. I haven't taken a break. This is going to be my 14th year.
Wow. That's insane. So what age were you when you won your first black belt championship, I guess, world title or whatever, your biggest accomplishment, I guess, when you were like, I did something really, really big?
Well, let's see. That's a tough one. I moved up to the black belt division in 2006. I want to say
So
2005, maybe. No, 2006. I think
11
I moved
years
up.
ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. I just remember in the beginning it was really hard for me to win a runoff because the competition was really tough back then for me, and I was like a newbie. I was coming up, so I had to pay my dues, and it was really, really, really hard for me to win a runoff. And I think it was
So you must have been what, like 9 at the time?
yeah, I was 9 when I moved up
And
to. Well,
okay, so you had to beat 13-year-olds basically.
yeah, it was 13 and under, so I was going up against a lot of older kids.
That's pretty
But
tough, yeah.
Twin Towers, I won my first runoff, or Ocean State. I don't. One of them was super big because it was an extreme division at Ocean State, and I won that. I was super happy.
So it kind of sounds like that it's all kind of like a blur to you of like you just like there wasn't like a moment where you're like this is like everything's changed. It sounds like it's just kind of a transition.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I pretty much just went with the flow with everything. But meeting Matt and Daniel Sterling had like a big, important like role in my life.
How's that? Tell me more.
2005 Battle of Atlanta, I want to say I met Daniel. No, what happened was 2004 U.S. Open, my first U.S. Open that I was there. I had seen Matt and Daniel on the DVDs that I had gotten from
Hmm.
that girl from the previous U.S. Open.
She had a
So
lot of DVDs.
yeah, I did my studying before I even knew what I was talking about. So I knew of them, and I remember we were watching the Sync division, and I think they had one. I'm pretty sure they had one. They had to have one. That and after I came up to them, and I actually had a DVD. I think it was the U.S. Open one from the past year, and I asked them if they could sign it. This was me in my little XMA karate uniform coming up to Matt and Daniel. I had like bow ties in my hair. I was just like so small, and
Hmm.
I remember I was like really nervous and shy to go up to them, but I did. I was like, "Oh, can you sign my DVD for me?" And then they did it because they're awesome. And then we took a picture, and I still have that picture to this day. That picture is actually like very like super iconic to me. And that's when I first met them. And then later on, 2005 Battle of Atlanta, I ended up running into Daniel again because I wanted to work with him. But he didn't live in New York; he lived in Massachusetts. So he was like, "Oh, show me your form." So in like I guess the lobby or somewhere by the tournament, I literally ran my full form out on the hard carpet for him, and he was like, "Oh, you live in New York? All right, I could call somebody." And then that is when he called Matt, and pretty much from there, we just started taking lessons with both Matt and Daniel.
Wow.
It was really good because they did sync, so they kind of have a similar style, so
Sure.
they bounced ideas off of each other. So yeah, the two of them made me like what I am today.
Yeah. So you had some pretty powerful coaches. It's a pretty stacked setup there.
Definitely, yeah. And then throughout the years, I started training with other people on Paul Mitchell, like Lauren Kearney and Caitlin Deshelle. So all four of them from coming from Paul Mitchell, that was
That
awesome.
that's another obviously big accomplishment that I know you're super proud of is to join Paul Mitchell. You
Definitely.
joined what, like 3? Was it 3, 4 years ago?
2015, right before the U.S. Open.
So 2 years ago?
Yeah,
Really?
a little over 2 years ago.
It
And
seems
that
like
was
you've been on the team so much longer than 2 years.
yeah, no, it took me a really long time to get on it. Like
Well, it's a
back,
pretty big deal. It's not easy. It's not just
oh,
handed to anybody.
definitely. Yeah, I remember Matt. Like he used to make me write my goals out every year before the year started, and always the number one from like when I was 7 was to be on Paul Mitchell. And of course, that wasn't going to happen when I was so young. But I had to work my way up there. But like I said, I was very persistent with everything. That was my goal. I wanted to accomplish it. Finally, after 11 years, I was able to accomplish that goal. So,
And what is it? Why is Paul Mitchell? What's it mean to you? Why is that so special?
well, Paul Mitchell just has this like prestige, the best team. It really, in my opinion, is the best team. It's everyone knows it. It's not just like a karate team. It's a company. You go into like a store, you see Paul Mitchell on the hair products, and just, like kind of what I was saying before. My instructors have come from Paul Mitchell. They're the best of the best. So if you're on Paul Mitchell, you got to be somewhat good.
There's a little bit of credibility there, I suppose. Um,
Yeah.
Now another little piece of credibility that Sammy has, obviously, which is how I know her, is that she's a hyper pro athlete. Um, what's the story there? How did you team up with Hyper? Do you remember? I mean, it's so long ago now.
Yeah, I in 2011, I think Roland sent us an email and asked us if we wanted to join the Hyper Squad.
Yep.
So we went to California to film. I guess like the beginning of the training videos because I remember we were in that little room.
You're one
You
of
guys,
the OGs, right? You're one of the
uh, yeah, I think like the second group of people.
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys were filming the training DVDs, and we went to like the park and by the school where we filmed a bunch of videos. So
Oh, okay. I
yeah,
wasn't part of Hyper Team at that point. But I obviously watched the videos, so okay.
yeah, that's so a long time ago, 2011.
Yeah, so you've been repping Hyper now for a long time as well, which is pretty cool.
Definitely. Yeah.
So you got two of the most powerful martial art brands out there supporting you. Actually, I think it's interesting. I looked up the other day at all the members of Paul Mitchell, and I think Hyper sponsors almost every single member of Paul Mitchell, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool. It is cool. It's cool that you get to like just keep growing and networking with companies and stuff. And that's actually something that we talk about on the show a lot is how kids that want to get on teams and stuff, how they can um, network with other companies. Like you have Paul Mitchell and you have Hyper. Maybe they can't. Maybe they're not at the league. They're not ready for Paul Mitchell and Hyper yet. But there's so many opportunities out there to network with people and grow. Um, you do a lot of stuff on social media as well.
Right.
Do you have any advice for kids that are trying to kind of get their name out there and be noticed? Do you think social media is important, or do you think it's just about winning?
Oh, I definitely think that social media is important. You have to like, develop a name first before, people can really get to know who you are. But definitely social media is a good like outlet to use. My suggestion with your post, I would just post a lot. Like even if you're just like training, just pics here and there, videos of you training, just like get yourself out there. The more you post, obviously, the better it's going to be. And just some of your hashtags. I was actually telling like my student to start using different hashtags like stunts. If you're a kid, like if you want to do that, like stunt kid, tricking, just like you basic hashtags that people are going to look up.
So just since you said tricking, I think we should talk about tricking for a little bit, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, of course.
You are, obsessed with tricking. I think that's fair to say. Uh, what got you into tricking? How did that start?
Oh, I don't even remember. All I remember is that, like I said, Matt has kind of got me started on the basics of tricking. I remember Daniel actually taught me my cheat 720. That was the first move I learned, and then from there, I think Matt was trying to get me to learn a 540, but I couldn't. But I learned side swipe first, and he thought that was like the craziest thing. He's like, "Yo, like side swipe's harder than a 540. Like, how did you get the side swipe before? Like, it didn't make any sense. It actually took me a while to get a 540, and then from there, um, I used to go to an open gym and they would have tricking gatherings all the time. There was actually a Halloween gathering where everyone dressed up in their costumes and we would trick. So that was pretty cool. I was like the only girl, like little girl. I don't think there was any other girls in that gym. It was just me and all the guys. And I just went to a bunch of tricking gatherings at my local gym. I also went to Trickadelphia in 2010. So I'm also really friendly with Vince Johnson. He was the coordinator of that.
Yep.
I went there, and I still go to open gyms to this day. And now it's pretty cool because I used to go with Matt to a lot of these gyms, and he would be like the teacher, and he would show me some moves. But a lot of them I did kind of learn on my own. But he would show me the basics of the tricks, and I would try to get them. And now that's kind of me with my students. I'm in Matt's position, and I'm teaching my students the basics of the tricks, what to like feel or like where their arm should be on their trick. So it's kind of like comes full circle, which is pretty cool.
So, like you said, it's pretty. I mean, everybody knows it. There's definitely like into the tricking world, it's definitely male dominated. It's mostly guys, and it's hard for girls to hang with the guys. Did you like growing up? did you ever feel intimidated? Like, what's the experience like being like the only girl tricker, going to these training sessions?
So, like I said, when I was young, I kind of didn't really pay attention to that because I was with Matt, and even yeah, Matt is obviously a guy, so he was my role model and everything. So I just looked up to him. So I wasn't even kind of like thinking like, oh, I'm the only girl. I was just mostly like focusing on like, wow, Matt's so cool. I want to be like him.
Right.
So I kind of like I learned. I guess people say, oh, I trick like a boy, and I take that as a compliment because that means that my tricks are pretty good. And learning from Matt, I have developed his style. So I guess that's kind of where it came from. But yeah, it's true. Not a lot of girls are trickers. It's mostly male dominated. But I think, girls can keep up with the guys just as much. I don't think it should be that way. If girls really want to trick, they should go ahead. Because, if they have people and role models like me saying it's okay to trick like a boy, they should have no, like, worries about tricking. Just go for it. Who cares what other people think? If you want to do it, that's all you. So what?
So I want to let's like do a little therapy session here, a little cycle analyzing. What does it mean to trick like a boy? Like, what exactly are we talking about here?
So my theory of tricking like a boy is you have gymnastics and everything's very, pointed, toes pointed, legs straight, everything's very pretty. They go about it, very like effortlessly, kind of everything's like flowy. When you trick like a boy, I do like to keep my technique good, so I do try to point my toes and train out my legs, but more like just power into it, and you just go for things. You do everything very quickly. You kick hard. You don't just go through the motions. You're actually like trying to land it, and it doesn't matter if you fall because you'll get up and you'll do it again instead of being afraid and going into a very
So you're
afraid of
like a
things. Go
savage.
for it.
That's what you're saying.
Pretty much, just go
Um,
ham on those tricks.
I feel like, I'll only ask you. Why do you think it is that there's more guys that trick than girls?
Well, I think it's a lot easier for them to be able to trick, just the way their body is, it's their center of gravity. They also kind of like just go for things, like what I was saying. They just throw their bodies. They don't really care what happens because they don't think about tricks the same way. I also feel like they start that earlier. Like I've seen a lot of videos of guys just tricking on like grass when they're little and falling, and like it's all right. They just get up and they do it again. Girls, I think they start tricking later, so it's a little bit harder for them. And like I said, just the way their body type is, certain moves you got to do things differently than you were if you were a guy. You got to figure that out. So that's a
Yeah.
little
Well, you know what? I think that you have a point about the concept where guys are just like, I don't care, and they just huck it, and it's a little more reckless. But when it comes to tricking, it's very similar. It's similar type of movement as gymnastics, and in the gymnastics scene, that's definitely like a girl sport, not a girl sport, but there's way more females that do gymnastics than boys.
right.
Yet in the tricking world, it's almost like tricking is like the guys are like attracted to tricking, and then females would be more attracted to the gymnastics thing. I don't know. It's pretty interesting, but in either case, it just goes to show you that it's not like tricking can only be done by guys. It's just that guys just tend to do it more.
Right.
Girls are completely capable of doing tricks.
Right, because gymnastics, like what I said, is like the prettier version of tricking. So you would assume that girls would be more into the gymnastics because that's kind of, how it is, I guess. And then
It's
guys
yeah,
would be more into, it doesn't matter about that correct form. I just want to throw my body. But that's not necessarily the case with all tricking because obviously there are people who throw their tricks with very clean form. It's just that it's just a different sport. There's different dynamics to it.
What advice do you have for girl trickers, guy trickers, whatever? Like they want to get started, they want to learn how to train. Like, what's a good strategy?
Right. Well, you got to make sure you have good basics first. Because although what I was talking about before, tricking just definitely stems from basics. You got to have your hook kicks because your hook kick is your connecting move. A lot of combos incorporate hook kicks. So if you have a really sloppy hook kick, your whole combo is going to look sloppy. So you got to really make sure that your basic kicks, like your hook kicks, round kicks, side kicks, those are, clean. Then you can move on to the more intermediate tricks like skip front kick, jump front kick, tornado kicks. Then from there, the cool thing about tricking is, let's say you have a tornado kick, you can learn a 540 because you know how to tornado kick. So one move kind of stems off of the other. So as long as you start from the beginning and you know how to do that move, the harder, I guess, extensions of that move should be pretty easy for you to get because it's like the same movement. You're just adding something or you're moving your body like one extra twist. So a lot of the moves are the same. You're just ending them or incorporating a different part to them.
Do you think that there's like a safe way to progress? Like, okay, you learn tornado kick. How much more training does it take till you're ready to learn a 540, for example?
So if you just learn a tornado kick, I wouldn't suggest trying to do a 540 and make sure that you practice it a couple times. There's other ways to practice the kick that you just learned. You could have somebody hold a paddle and kick the target because that's going to make sure that you're kicking in the right direction. Say you're doing a tornado kick and you're kicking to the back. Obviously, you're not doing that right. And it's going to be really hard to do a 540. So once you got your tornado kick down, I suggest learning or doing it on a paddle until you're very comfortable with that. You know where your target is. You always got to remember to spot your target. So if you're hitting the paddle every single time with a lot of power, then you're probably ready to do a 540 or a side swipe in my case.
Cool. I gotta say, personally, first trick I ever learned way back in the day, blue belt, was a cheat 720. The second trick I ever learned was aerial, and the third trick I ever learned was also side swipe. I got side swipe before I got 540.
Yeah, see, exactly. I don't know.
I think it's easier because I don't know, just the way you huck your body over, you get more power or something.
Yeah.
The 540 involves a little bit of like trickery of like learning how to get the hips to rotate.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah. So anybody out there, if you're go train side swipes before you get your 540.
Learn the side swipe first. Yeah. Tell them Sammy Smith said it was all right to learn the side swipe first.
Unless you get hurt, then you can blame me. I'll take the blame. Well, you know what? It sounds like you actually have an interest also in safety, and because you're going into like physical therapy, right? And like understanding how the body operates and how to prevent yourself from getting injured, and if you get injured, like how to fix yourself. Where does that stem from? Is that because you've gotten injured in the past and you had to work through it, or?
Oh yeah. So I guess just the territory, that comes with the sport. You're with tricking, unfortunately, it does take a toll on your body. I've had so many injuries before. I don't want to jinx myself, but none of them have been like that bad. But I got to knock on wood now. I've had turf toe, which is like you hyperextend your big toe, and that hurts a lot. That takes a long time to heal, believe it or not. I've had plantar fasciitis, which is like your muscle pretty much underneath your foot. It's just tense. It gets really tight. So that is also very painful. I've bruised my heel up a bunch. I actually had to get a cortisone shot in my heel a few years ago. I couldn't compete at Amerikick one year. I was super upset because of that. I actually recently bruised my heel before diamonds practicing. Had to get an MRI for that.
What's the results of that? Can you share?
Yeah, thankfully I didn't have a chip in it, which I thought was the case because at diamonds, actually, when I was warming up, I would do a certain move and I'd hit a certain spot and it'd be super sharp pain. And so I was careful with what I was doing there. But it was actually, he said that there was this fluid underneath my heel. I'm not really sure exactly what that means, what you do for that, but there's fluid underneath my heel. So.
All right. Well, you got another year of college to figure that fluid situation out.
But kind of with the injuries, yeah. So I'm learning about certain injuries in school, and it's kind of interesting because you could apply that, to yourself. Now I know, like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't do certain moves because the way your body is positioned, that sets you up for this injury and that. So it is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because now the more you know, the more you kind of, question your movements, what you're going to do. But
sure.
That hasn't really stopped me. I'm still obviously continuing to trick, but now it's interesting to learn a lot more about how your body moves and what it's actually doing when you do certain movements.
Now, how much of tricking is mental versus physical?
Well, obviously you have to be in certain physical condition to throw your body around and get the height. A lot of, height is stemmed from conditioning your legs and your calf muscles. So that's where you're going to get the height from. Scary tricks, or what I would or like would consider scary, that involve multiple spins or, you know, intricate movements, that is mental. And I think that's something that you have to get over with. Just a lot of times, moves that I would think would be scary, I would just go for it because like you really can't do anything else. You just got to go for it. And actually, once you get it, then you think to yourself, all right, that wasn't that bad. And then you try it again. It's pretty much just getting over that first bump of and that first trick.
Yep.
Once you got it, you're not really afraid to do it anymore.
Well, what about forms competition? How much of that is physical versus mental?
Kind of along the same lines of tricking, obviously you got to condition your body because a lot of the times at tournaments you're doing 6 forms back to back. So if you're not in like physical shape to do that, it's going to be very tough on you. So actually, yeah, it's going to be tough on you, but your mental side, it is possible to actually like pump yourself up and convince yourself that you could do it. I mean, the adrenaline and everything. I was actually learning about that in my exercise physiology class. They were actually talking about that you can actually, it's that kind of fight or flight idea.
Sure.
Even though your body's super tired, if you convince yourself, all right, if you just think like this is the last form, I could do it. You could actually talk yourself into like being all right and getting through it. And actually, a lot of the times when I've done 5 forms back to back, that's what I have to do because after 5 forms, of course, your body's going to be tired. So
Right.
you gotta kind of just talk yourself into it. If you start talking like all these negative thoughts, your body's going to start to believe it. But if you say like positive thoughts, like, oh, I got this, try to pump yourself up, listen to music, those like that stimulus can actually like really get you through it.
So is that what you do before a form? You have like put the headphones on and
Oh yeah, definitely.
get
Rocking
into
up
it?
to Drake.
Drake. I was gonna ask, what do you listen to? So it's just
Oh,
Drake.
yep, Drake.
Awesome. That's cool. There's pro tip for everybody out there. You want to get good? Listen to some Drake.
Yeah. See, I mean, that's another thing. Like, you wouldn't really expect a girl to be listening to Drake. That goes along, I guess, with the tricking. Like, sometimes you got to go on the opposite end of, what everyone else thinks. If that gets you pumped up, and if you can work to that, and just do it.
I'm sorry to burst your bubble, Sammy, but a girl listening to Drake doesn't exactly surprise me. I mean, it's not that far fetched. I mean, he's appealing to a large audience. We'll say that. You just like that hardcore. Well, he's not that hardcore, but you like that hip hop kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That tempo, that like
that
the
attitude.
lyrics get to you. Yeah.
Got you. So I see some people dropping some names in the comments here of some of your students. What's the next generation? Who are you training right now? Who's going to be the next superstars?
I have actually a couple that people actually know because they're on like national teams. I got Madison Olson, and I have Madison Bailiff, and I have Caio da Silva. And I have a bunch of other students that I teach at my at tournaments, but those are my 3 main people that are going to like every tournament, and you can see my style in them for sure.
Yeah, those are the ones I see. I see Bill's dropping those names. Bill Bailiff.
Mm-hmm. Madison's dad.
So tell me about these guys. Who are these kids? What's cool about them?
Oh, they're awesome. Every single one of them brings a different thing to the table. Let's start with Madison Bailiff since her dad's on the show. She's awesome. I actually just taught her over Skype this past week. I do Skype lessons also. I teach her at all the tournaments. She's really good. She definitely has shown a lot of improvements. I remember when I first started with her, she was very shy, and it would take, I would have to get words out of her, and she would do the movements, and she would go through them, but she was very shy about everything. Now she's very, she talks, she's very open, like she's showing major improvements with her strikes. She's showing a lot more power. She just moved up to the black belt division, I think, and like she moved up in division in the age, so she's in a pretty hard age group, so she's got a lot of tough competitors in that group, but she's doing really well, and I really think that next year is going to be awesome for her. Madison Olson, she got picked up by Team Infinity this past June, so that was awesome.
Cool.
She just moved up to the black belt division 2, I think, a couple years ago, 2 years ago, I want to say. And yeah, she's actually won a couple runoffs. She's been on stage a couple times. She is an awesome like flipper, tumbler, like all that. She got that going on. And yeah, she's awesome. I have Caio de Silva. He is in the 12-13, so he's also in a very difficult division. That's like the top division. So he moved up. He's doing awesome in that. He actually, a funny thing is his first year he moved up to black belt. He won at New England Open, and he went to runoffs, and there was him, Kieran, and Mason Stoll, I think, and he ended up winning that, but it was tied between him and Kieran. So they had to actually run it off again.
Wow.
So they ended up doing that for him like back to back twice. And then Caio ended up winning that. So that was just like awesome for me to just like see that. Like I know that he would.
That's
that
a
was,
stacked division. That's tough.
yeah. Yeah, he like Madison Olson, he got picked up by a national team too. Now he's on Team Straight Up. So it's pretty awesome that, my main students are, they're really excelling in the sport, and that's all I could ask for, because there's going to be a time where I'm not going to be able to compete, with school and my body, just like, you get older. But as long as you can inspire the up and coming generation and have them carry the legacy, then, that's what it's going to be about. We actually like joke around because there's like a JPM legacy. So like I stem from Matt and Daniel, Lauren, Kat, Danny stems from Matt, Aiden too, Jackson with Lauren,
So
a lot of
basically, you better keep the legacy going.
pretty much. So to all my students out there, you better get on Paul Mitchell.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot on the line here, guys.
Yeah, no pressure or anything, but
Paul Mitchell or Sammy's a failure to the Paul Mitchell legacy. Um, well, first off, do you see retirement in the future for you? Like, what's your competition scene looking like? You're competing strong next year?
oh
Killing
yeah, for sure. I'm not too. I don't want to. No rumors. I'm not stopping anytime soon. It's just that eventually,
Yeah.
your body's gonna give up. But yeah, no, for sure. Don't worry. I'll be there next year, coming back just as strong as ever. So
Now,
yeah.
I think you've won more world titles in the past couple of years than anyone. I think the only other person that might threaten your title number wins is maybe Aiden Kennedy. And I only know that because I do all the stats every year, and like you just absolutely dominate. So that's awesome. Also, I wanted to remind people, she kind of slipped it in there, but she does Skype lessons. Are you available for Skype lessons? Is that like
Definitely, yes, I'm available for Skype lessons.
all right?
For sure.
So hit
And
up
seminars
Sammy.
too, in case there are any schoolers.
Absolutely, guys. Seriously, you want to have one of the top world champions in the history of the sport come to your school? Well, all you gotta do is just send her a Facebook message and
Definitely.
hook it up. You should have Sammy Smith come to your school. It's like a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. So do that. Like seriously, even if you pause this live video because you don't want to forget, send her a message right now. Hit up Sammy. Get some seminars. How often do you go out to seminars? Is that like a regular thing?
Yeah, I'm actually doing one Black Friday right after Thanksgiving. I'm going to Connecticut and I'm teaching a seminar, so I'm super pumped about that.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine your weekends are pretty booked, like all the time.
Oh yeah.
It's either a tournament or a seminar.
Or private lessons. I'm teaching a lot of private lessons lately, so
how do you find time to balance all of this?
it's very difficult. I try to get my work done. Of course, I like to work ahead of time because I don't want to feel like I have to do something at the last minute. So I try to actually work ahead with my schoolwork. Mm-hmm. And I have some time in my schedule where there's a break in between classes. So I really try to just get my homework done in between those breaks because that would really help a lot. Because if I'm not at school, like I said, I actually work at a PT office. I'm a PT aide. So I'm working there on Mondays, and then I'm there on Wednesdays for myself because I do a lot of strength and conditioning with Mike Camp. He's a well-known, he's a top physical therapist, strength and conditioning. So he's actually another one of my inspirations outside of the karate world because eventually that he is like, my role model for that. What he does is exactly what I want to do. So I really look up to him. So just surrounding myself at the PT office, then at school, that it takes a lot of time out of my schedule, and then I have to teach on the weekend. So, like I said, I'm super busy. I have a lot of stuff going on. So I really, if I have an open moment, I kind of, take that moment and do whatever I can in that time.
Yeah. I don't know how it's impossible. I don't know how you do it. I mean, school is hard enough. I want to play some. I want to play some videos. So I try to set up the live stream so that we don't have the lag thing. Does it work? I don't know. We're gonna find out. But Sammy, you sent me some video links. Is there which one do you want me to play?
Let's talk about the CLM one and the Russia one. So that demo that I sent you.
Yep, I gotcha. The one that says you gotta show this one. That one.
Yeah.
Okay, noted. Let's get it up on the screen here.
Yeah, I think you got to go a little bit. Oh, that's the Russia one. Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one first.
The Russia one. All right, let's talk about the Russia video. What's going on here?
All right, so actually I got invited to Russia, and before that I looked up what happened, and there was another girl named Samantha Smith, and she was a peace ambassador, and that was when, you know, the Cold War was going on, and unfortunately, long story short, she had passed away in a plane crash.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of, yeah, it was really sad, but I went in her footsteps, and I had sent President Putin a letter, kind of along the same lines as her. So, and I was telling him that I was actually going to come to this tournament in Russia at this time, and he responded back, and I was invited to the government office while I was here, and I actually was a peace ambassador, you know, over there. I got to meet the kids at the government. He gave me his karate uniform. I met the governor of St. Petersburg. Yeah, I have President Putin's judo uniform somewhere.
What?
Upstairs.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
and
did not see this story coming. What? All right.
Yeah. So actually, I think my mom's gonna go and run and get it.
You got Putin's uniform. That's why he's always shirtless in all those pictures. You have his clothes.
Yeah, you know, I stole his uniform. But yeah, I got a uniform for them. I got to meet all the kids. It was awesome. You know, I actually got a citation. So it was a big deal. Like, I was a bit, for some reason, because I had the same name as this girl.
Yeah, hold on. Let's pause for a second, because I think we're overlooking this here. There was a girl, a peace ambassador girl named Sammy Smith, who died in a plane crash. And somehow, because you shared the same name, you got Putin's uniform. Like, how does this happen?
Here's the uniform right here. It's still in the bag, but this is his uniform.
Whoa, man, what's it smell like?
Straight from Russia. Straight from Russia. This is a blue uniform. Yep, I think it's worn. I'm pretty sure it's worn. But yeah. So
have you worn it before?
What did you say?
Have you worn it before?
No, I don't want to touch it. You know, just let it be. You know, it's kind of.
Come on, put on Putin's uniform. Okay, fine.
Maybe, you know, if I do, I'll post it in the group and be like, I finally put it on.
You know how many views this show would get if you were wearing Putin's uniform? Okay.
Well, I mean, it did make an appearance, so history was made on this show.
That's right. More history for the show. Putin's martial arts uniform.
Oh, wait, and I think here comes the autograph picture from him.
Oh, we got more going on.
More history is coming. All right.
Is he shirtless in the picture?
No, he's actually got a shirt on, but you know, here his signed at the bottom.
Wow.
Here's Putin for you guys.
There he is
with the shirt on.
Good old Putin.
Not shirtless, but you know, still awesome. So you know,
it's hilarious. Okay, so anyhow, we're supposed to be watching a karate demo here, and I'm sorry everybody that's watching.
My final flash.
Yep, we just missed you. We missed your part. I'm sorry, I got caught up in the Putin stuff. Unfortunately, like I said, I did not fix the lagging issue. So everybody that's watching this is just watching it looks like you guys are like floating around as robots or something. It's not really, it's not really visible. I think the story is way more interesting than the
right.
We've seen you perform before, so we get that.
So yeah, kind of back to like what I was saying. The random people would stop me on the street because there were so many news stories going on at the time. There's this Russian, I think it's a Russian doll. It starts off big and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yep.
So I was in the store and this guy just bought it for me, just because I was me. And people would stop on the street like, oh, do something, and they would hold out their phone. I would do like a tornado kick or something like that. And
how did everybody know you?
Well, because I guess there was a bunch of news stories going out before we even got there. Yeah.
That the Americans were coming through doing a demo of
Yeah,
martial arts
well, not
piece.
just like the Americans. It was like my name because of everything that happened. With the Samantha Smith. I guess
So
after I wrote that letter, I guess people got on that story and they knew that I was coming, so they had it.
they knew
They had a lot of news stories going before I even got
the
there.
other Sammy Smith. That is so bizarre.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting story. I did not. That's not where I thought this whole watch list video was going. Okay.
Yeah, you could even like Google Samantha Smith Cold War, and I'm sure there's like a whole bunch of articles on it. It was like really unfortunate what happened, but I'm really glad that I can, in a way, step up into her place and become a peace ambassador too. Like that's awesome.
Well, yeah, it's weird how the world works sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, let's watch another video. Who's is this? What world leader is involved with this video?
The world leaders of Paul Mitchell.
All right, so this, I'm guessing there's no Putin involved here.
No, just Vince Johnson, Daniel Sterling, Madden, Megan Nice, and Danny Graham.
I don't know. That sounds like world leaders to me.
And oh my God, there was one other person in this. Somebody else.
You know what, everybody? I have an idea because I really want to watch this cool video. So I'm going to try something on the back end of my stream to see if I can fix the problem. I thought of an idea the other day, and I want to try it. So give me 1 second, everybody. If this doesn't work, then it'll probably be just as bad as it was before as far as the lagging, but at least I gave it a shot. 1 second, 1 second. So tell me the backstory of this while I'm loading it up.
Okay. Basically, I was Matt and Daniel's student at the time, and I I was killing it at a young age, I guess. So they put me in their demo. I remember I was so happy because all these guys are a lot older than me. I was the only little kid in that demo, so that was just so awesome for me to be up on the stage with all of them. Like those are top people up there, especially at that time. Like those were the people to be with, especially let alone perform with them. That was awesome. Like I was really friendly with a lot of these people. Like I said, like Vince, he's really cool. Daniel, Matt, they're my instructors. Danny Graham and Nice, even at that time, were top flippers. Even though they were like just doing corks, compared to what they're doing now. So it was just really awesome that I was a little kid. I had like a little part. I'm like more towards the middle. I'm doing my chucks, and Danny Graham and Nice are actually flipping over me at one point.
So
that was awesome.
You're just freaking out here at this point because you're just realizing you're like, wow, I'm on stage with all of these, sport martial arts icons basically, and here I am.
Yeah.
By the way, everybody that's watching the show, I think I fixed it. The lag is a lot better, so everybody that's watching can actually see the content. So I'm super happy that we figured that out. But yeah, this is Danny Graham.
Yeah.
Killing it.
Oh, that Sheet 7. Oh, gainer. So yeah, it's so crazy how like the sport has, grown. These were the hard tricks back then. People were going nuts over that just cork double leg.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because both of these guys have gotten so much better than this video.
Yeah. See right here, I remember that was so cool. That little dance move. That was all Vince right there. That was super cool. Here comes Sammy Vasquez. Yeah.
Yeah. This is awesome. I've never seen this demo before. This is cool.
Yeah, my part's coming up in a little bit. Oh, there I go. Oh, yep. My round off tuck.
Little Sammy. Repping AKA.
Yep, that was my first team that I was on. Then it was Pro Rank, then G-Force, and Paul Mitchell. So here I go with my chucks. Boom. No. I got Danny Graham and Nice.
Oh, snap. Oh, snap.
Yeah, I was super scared at that time. I was
like, how long does it take to put a demo like this together?
Oh, that was, believe it or not, that was super quick, actually. I mean, that's what happens when you have top people. You get to, you got to put these demos together.
Did they just put it together like at the tournament or something?
Yep, pretty much at the tournament. Actually, funny story with that Russia video is we got off the plane
Yeah.
Literally, we landed in Russia and we did the demo. We put it together like by the elevators, and that was that. You pretty much learn how to work on your feet. Once you are in the sport long enough, and just make up things right then and there.
That's great. Yeah, that's a crazy skill set that I think is underappreciated in the sport. Is when the top competitor is just like they just come together and suddenly like they can put a demo together, you know, in a snap. All right, I'm gonna play another video. We got about 5 minutes left of the show, so if anybody has any questions they want to ask Sammy, feel free to drop them in. And if you haven't hit that share button, like, do us a favor and hit that share button. Sammy Smith is on the show today. I think we can get a bigger audience than this. All right, I want to play another video of Diamond. Why am I playing Diamond Nationals 2015? What's the significance of this?
Well, I did get on Paul Mitchell at the U.S. Open.
Oh, I have the links all backwards. Never mind. Okay, so we're at U.S. Open.
All right, we're at U.S.
This
Open
is last U.S. Open
year. Yeah, this is 2017. I was really proud of this form, actually. I think it was one of my best forms. I have a lot of really good forms up there, but I was just really hitting super hard. I was trying to incorporate a lot of my flips, spinning my chucks. I was trying to keep the mat vibe going in here. A couple of my moves you could really see, like my inner mat.
Mat.
Yes.
I think honestly we see Matt Emig in anybody that does chucks these days. Chucks used to be done in such a different way,
Right.
And Matt changed the game. And
oh yeah, he definitely did. I was actually Matt's first student, so pretty much his style kind of straight from the source.
Yep.
Like right there, that slide, that release, all him.
So was this one of the forms on ESPN where they had to dub your music with copyright-free stuff?
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess that's the new way ESPN is doing things. It's
Yeah.
not everyone's favorite thing because in my opinion, it kind of takes away from the forms. Everyone wants
for
to hear
sure.
the music. Now you have this elevator music playing over
Right.
our forms, so it kind of takes away from it.
What are you gonna do next year about that? Assuming you get on stage and all that stuff, but we know you're gonna get up there. But
well, there is a way around that. We'd have to get our music copy, talk to the people. So, it's kind of hard for me to, message Rihanna and ask her, but it's okay if I could use her song. But I really don't know what we're going to do next year. I guess it might be the same way, unfortunately, but
I think everybody's scratching their head going, how do we overcome this? Because I think that was a big downer on the whole ESPN performances. Like, you ruined everything. Like, can't hear anything. It's just cheesy.
You got people doing the forms to like the beats, and it doesn't even go. I mean, unless any of the people who are watching here have ties to Rihanna, you want to tell her that I kind of need to use her song, but
Yeah. So, any of the viewers out there, if you know Rihanna, just send a private message to Rihanna, have her hook up with Sammy.
Send her a direct message, no big deal.
Yeah, maybe a text.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Let's get the other video. So sorry, I got all my links all mixed up. So I think I'm playing one video and it's a different video.
All right.
Okay, so I think this one is Diamond Nationals 2015, or it's just something else. Who knows?
It probably.
There it is. All right. Yeah. So what's the significance of Diamonds 2015?
2015. Like I was saying before, I had just gotten on Paul Mitchell before the U.S. Open, so this was my big Diamonds,
Paul Mitchell debut.
And I have never won a diamond ring before at this point. This was
Really?
Yeah, I had never won a diamond ring, so I was really going for it. I actually had moved up into the adult division early, so my birthday's in July, so technically I could have stayed the rest of that year in my in junior 14-17, but I wanted to move up. I was ready to move up. I'd already been, competing, like I said, since 2004.
Yeah.
I was ready to move on to different things.
Right.
So this was the first division. I guess I did a pretty awesome job because I had won my first diamond ring with this form.
So I hear you and other competitors, they say it often where they're like, I really had to bring it this time on stage. And I always wonder, I'm like, when don't you bring it? Like, is there a time where you slack off and you don't give your full performance?
Oh, well, never have I like slacked off in the form. I mean, there's gonna be times where your body is just maybe not feeling it, but you still give your 100%,
Yeah.
even though your body's not feeling it. But there are certain instances where you really gotta push that extra, like, inner energy out of you and go for it. Like this is one of them. Like, you see how many times I
Yeah,
push that form?
just screaming your head off at the end. Yeah. Let's do a
Yeah.
little.
So this was one of those forms. So like I said, I won my first diamond rings here, and then actually the next video was a forms one, and I had won my second diamond ring. So that was a double diamond ring win for my first time ever winning at the diamonds.
Why
And then
not?
actually, 2016, which was the year after this, I had also won double diamond rings. So that was just like whoa, like
So what's your
and
ring count up to now?
well, since I had just won one from this past diamonds, I'm up to five.
5. Good. One for
Yeah, so
each
I'm
finger.
going. I'm trying to break history here. I got a couple more, but
What's the
like I said, I'll
history?
do it.
What's the number?
Um, I think I have. Hmm. Oh, it was on the diamonds, brochure. I think I have maybe one more in forms and maybe one or two more in weapons.
Okay. To break the overall number of,
Break, yeah, to break the overall.
and like no one's gotten more. Okay. I think Mike Welch might have 5 rings. I could be mistaken.
Yeah,
But
there was like a whole list of like everyone's
who
names and like the runner up, and my name was on the runner up for like two of them. So
interesting. I wonder who do you know who holds the record right now?
I think Kat has the
Uh
most in one of them, and then she's like tied with somebody who used to compete wushu. I think a long time ago.
like DX or something,
Yeah, the
or
female version of that.
Anthony DeMarco. Um, cool. Um, well, anyhow, Sammy, we our hour is up. I know you got classes to go to. I actually have a dentist appointment I have to go to, but so I limit the show to 1 hour. We talked about all kinds of stuff. Got to know the history. We got to hang out with your Putin paraphernalia. Um, Learn about what's the tips and tricks of Sammy Smith. Sammy, I want to say thank you very much for taking time out of your day to be on the show and to
Yeah, I
talk.
really, this is awesome. I really, this show's awesome. I'm grateful to be on it. So thank you too.
Yes, and also, guys, if you want to get more Sammy Smith in your life, I got a couple options for you. Here's what you can do. The easiest and the most efficient thing you can do is download the Hyper Training Lab app, and you can gain access to her forms and weapons, strikes, all kinds of stuff. It's right there in the app. You can just literally you can pay like a couple bucks, whatever it is, and you have access to the stuff she teaches. Um, the next level is you can also just buy it as a DVD on the Hyper Pro Shop, so hypermartialarts.com/shop. Boom, buy it there. The next level up, if you want to hook up with Sammy Smith here, is if you want to do Skype lessons. She's available for that as well. So hit up on Skype. And then the final level is you're a school owner, book her for some seminars. So there's a billion plugs for you, Sammy. Hopefully everybody takes advantage of all of the resources out there where you are teaching everything you know. Um, but that's going to wrap it up. Sammy, you got schoolwork. I'm going to let you go. Wolfpack, thanks for tuning in extra early today. I hope you all have a great weekend. Next week, we're going to only have 2 shows, and then I'm taking the rest of the week off for Thanksgiving. But Czar Sukarati is going to be joining us on Monday. He's a super cool dude, and he's a wushu top-level NASCA competitor. And he loves hyper, too. I can't lie. So anyhow, we're going to have Czar on the show on Monday. I hope you all have a great one. Sammy, talk to you later. Wolfpack.
Thank you.
Peace.